Welcome back, LEGO builders and Minecrafters, to episode 8 of Building Mumbo Season 8 base out of LEGO. And I know in the previous episodes we've been doing a lot of work on the back section there, but I thought for the start of this episode we should take a look at some of the cliff and rock work that I have been doing on stream. So actually a lot of this was built off camera, haha, I can do the meme, but all of this section over here was built on stream, so if you guys caught that, then thank you so much for being there. So I have spent quite a significant amount of time on these cliffs and they are beginning to look absolutely fantastic. I love all the sloping and curves, and as you can see as we get to the uncompleted side of it, I have started playing with having these different platforms of kind of like greenery, and I think those are coming out really nicely and that should have a really good and cool look on this cliff face. But before we get into too much building back there with doing the waterfalls and that sort of thing, because that is the main thing that I want to do in this episode, I have a few things to mention. First thing being, in the last episode I asked you guys what animals you would like to have named after you, and I got a few responses. So we have a duck that is named Chloe, we have a shadow monkey, and we have a merc-eyed mouse. So all of them will be joining Isaac the chameleon over here, and I will be sure to keep track of them, and hopefully you guys will be able to spot them on the finished build. And now the second thing that I would like to mention is I did a poll in between episodes in that I'm gonna be going away and I can only take 2 of the 4 quadrants with me, and so I asked you which guys would you like me to work on. And it was pretty evenly split straight down the middle for taking either the front 2 quadrants or the back 2 quadrants. So I thought obviously half of you want to see work being done on the back there and the other half of you want to see work being done on the front. So I'm just gonna go with the third option in that poll and just take 1 of each quadrant. Probably both of them are gonna be the right side, so then we can work on both of these options. But we don't have to worry about that for a couple more days, and in between that time, hopefully I can do a bunch more work on not only the cliffs, but also the waterfalls out back. So I suppose let's hit a time lapse and figure these things out. I very quickly realized that this task was going to be much more difficult than I initially thought. And the difficulty lies in this tiny little gap. It's just such a small gap and it just makes the entire thing off. So I'm going to go fiddle around with this for a little while and I'll bring you back when I'm done. The design is now, for the most part, done. And so I know you guys can't actually see any of the design with this waterfall in place here, but this does actually turn to the side and hopefully you can get to start to see the mechanism in there. So I'm going to try my best to show this off, but it is quite a simple mechanism that just uses a couple of Technic connectors and a couple of little joints in there. And what is actually essential for making this entire thing to work is this blue bar on the edge here. Because not only does it hold the waterfall in the correct position, like so, but also if the waterfall gets jostled around and moves at all, then when this side of the waterfall pushes against the other side of the waterfall, then it will all realign nicely. So I just took off the front part of the waterfall there and you can kind of see the mechanism there. And another thing that I realized is that I would also have to build part of the cliff right behind the waterfall, because otherwise we'd have this weird gap. So this kind of plate here represents where the cliff is going to go, and all of that cliff will slide in and out, and I'm going to have to figure out how all of that fits in over here. But you guys probably want to see this in action, so let's speed up this clip a little bit and watch this thing move. So, as you guys can see, it does have a fairly smooth movement. There are a couple of hiccups every once in a while, and you can actually see right now it is slightly off, but if you were to have the other side of the waterfall, they would push together and realign themselves, so then they would be perfectly straight. So I am incredibly happy of how the design came out, and I'm glad that we got that out of the way. So now we can replicate it on the other side, and then we can start work on these cliffs here and trying to figure out how the waterfall fits in with all of this. this was working, then it would be done. But it's not, so it isn't. I don't think that really made too much sense. But basically what I'm trying to say here is that this design is working for the most part, but it still has a couple of hiccups and issues with it. The main issue being, and what you guys saw me work on a little bit in the time lapse, is this setup over here. I changed it a bunch. We used to have this big huge plate in there, but that just wasn't working, and I've changed it a bunch and it still isn't quite working as well as I would like it to. We are having like some issues with gears jumping and things popping off, and I know I can also add in a little bit more structure, so I'll be doing that as well. But I don't think it's quite up to snuff, and we should probably do a little bit of upgrades to this particular section. And I think one of the things I'm going to do is, in particular with these two gears right here, this right now makes it so then the output is a lot faster than the input, but I think I might switch that around. Because then if I switch it around, yes, the output will be slower and the waterfall opening and closing will be much slower, but we will have a lot more power, or I believe it's called torque. I could be completely wrong on that, but we'd have a lot more power and it'd be a lot slower, so then it should be able to open these two fairly easy if I switch around just these two gears. And I think another thing I would like to add is to the back of these waterfalls here, I need to add some sort of clip or attachment near the top, so then they actually clip together at the top, and then we don't have this weird gap, because they are pretty snug down at the bottom, but as we go further up, they kind of split apart. But if I hold down the system over here, it does actually work. So it is fair. Oh, and you can hear the gear jumping there, but it does kind of work if I can get these gears to work properly here. Okay, I just put in a little bit more support, but these should be working pretty well, and I know they have like a couple of issues every once in a while, and so I have to hold it down, but they do work for the most part, and you can kind of see that they're off-centered right now, but yeah, they do work, and so that is fantastic to see. But yeah, you can still see there's a few issues that I have to work out, and I am running out of time for this video. And I know that seems a little bit weird because this video is super rushed, and actually, surprisingly, basically all the work you've seen in this video was done in 2 days, which isn't that much time. But as of right now, I should be packing up all this Lego to go traveling. And I should let you guys know that I probably won't be doing any building on camera over that time. So I just want to focus in on building, and we can try and get as much progress done as possible. So I'm going to try and fix these kinks, but if I run out of time, then I run out of time, and then you guys will have to see all these upgrades in the new year. So I'm going to try and quickly get these done and get these waterfalls working a lot better than they currently are. And this is me about half a minute later realizing that I really have run out of time. I can't actually do the upgrades now. So, sorry guys, but it will actually have to wait for the new year. And now I may post the occasional community post and give you guys like a small little sneak peek at all of the progress that I've been doing. But as of right now, I think I'm gonna have to go ahead and pack up the right two quadrants. So I'm gonna take the front right and the back right quadrant with me, and we'll figure out everything on that side, and then we can duplicate it over to the left side there. And the work that I plan on doing should involve everything from doing cliffs to figuring out the structure in here and making sure that all this waterfall section works just on one side. And then, obviously, when I learn everything from that, then it should be a lot quicker to do the left side than it will be to do the right side. And so, I hope to see you all in the new year, and with that said, Gigahertz Productions, out.